Oh, everyone, what to say? What to say about that? Arsenal have lost another game. It's another 1-0 defeat. It's another defeat on the road. But people are talking more positively about this one. And I can understand. I still have a lot of frustrations. I think the way I'd compare this defeat to the Newcastle defeat, and listen, you're in a bad place and you're comparing, was this defeat better than that defeat? So sure, you're in the situation Arsenal are in and you think about the place we should be in. But I think what I'd say is that the Newcastle defeat had me, like, clenching my fists, right? Like, really, sorry, I've got a battery pack, let me put that down. Like, really kind of, like, you know, clenching my fists in frustration. And again, like I said, not because I was looking to scrap. That's not my style. But more because you felt like you wanted to run on the pitch yourself and show the fight that was missing against Newcastle. Now, I have to say, I don't feel this way about the Inter performance. I don't feel like there was a lack of urgency or understanding from the Arsenal players that, or a lack of pace. I want to say an understanding of the occasion, you know, Champions League away, Inter Milan, the San Siro, you got to show up. And I think the players absolutely tried. I did. I feel like the effort was absolutely there. And I called out the players last game. I don't feel the need to do that for this one. But I'm still left disappointed. I still feel they're really void of ideas. And I still feel like there's something about Arsenal that if teams get through the first hour, an hour actually sounds like a long time. You could probably say about the first half hour. But really, if they get through the first hour, you've pretty much thrown all your ideas at them. That's how they're feeling. Arsenal probably shown everything they're going to show in that game. Unless Waneri pulls out a moment of magic in the only 10 minutes he gets, or Arteta pulls a rabbit out the hat, which he hasn't really looked like doing recently, then you're pretty much going to be fine. That's how I feel watching this Arsenal team at the moment. I do think, we'll go through the incidences in a second, but I do think we are also a bit of a, I think Arteta's kind of playing like percentages football. Do you remember that quote he said a while ago when he said, like, we are crossing the ball lots and creating situations. It's pure maths. Eventually, we'll score goals from that. And you just thought, oh my word, he's losing it here. This was back when we were really bad. Everyone thought he was going to lose his job. But it does feel a little bit like he banks on the percentages. He banks on, well, my defence will be good enough to not concede a lot. My attack will be good enough to create just about enough. If our XG is on the right side every game, we're going to win more games or we're going to win. You know, when we were top of the kind of XG for and against table last year at a key point in the Premier League season, maybe around March, you kind of thought, well, maybe that's kind of what he's trying to get, you know, be on the right side of that data. And eventually he's even actually talked about it in interviews before, hasn't he? I think in the summer, he said all the data showed we should have been champions, but we weren't. And I do feel like he sets his team up to almost play the percentages. If you do these things, more often than not, you're going to win rather than lose. So you're looking at fine margins there. Okay, what are the fine margins against Bournemouth? A red card, okay, he can't really legislate for that, Arteta. Even if he was defensive, even if he was pragmatic, all these things I think he was. You know, Martinelli should score the best chance of the game, and we can see. By the way, this isn't me making excuses for Arteta. Please don't think that. I'm trying to explain what I think the approach is. He'll probably look at it and go, well, we had the best chance of the game against Bournemouth. We were down to 10 men. And we can see from set pieces avoidable and a penalty that's avoidable. I honestly think that might be the way he looks at it. Newcastle, a moment of quality from Gordon and Isak. That's not going to happen very often. More often than not, Rice nods it to the back post. We probably get a draw, or that Rice effort maybe trickles in, or the Marino block might find its way in. You know, I honestly think this is what he's telling himself. And then again, today, you know, against Inter, what did we see? A penalty? Look, it's a handball. I do think he's probably touching an area that maybe an attacking Inter player gets to, but at the same time, it feels really harsh on Marino. Then should we have had a penalty for, you know, Marino catching one in the face? But I've already seen the replays, I've seen the pictures, so you lot tell me that. But again, people, this is not me trying to justify Arteta's approach and Arsenal's approach. I'm trying to get in the mind of Mikel Arteta to try and understand how and why Arsenal feel like they don't really pump everything going forward and really throw everything. But I don't know. There's something about our style of football that just feels like Arteta seems reluctant to move away from it a little bit and try and be a bit more expansive and try and roll the dice more. And I'm trying to understand why that is. And I hope I kind of have there a little bit. But I did feel that this game was a step forward, yes, but I mean, like, we're also like hanging on the edge of a cliff. We need a few more steps. We've got a bit more climbing to do before we can start to relax. But it was definitely a movement up in performance. There's just still a lot we have to do. Look, the team tried. I think I might have mentioned it earlier in the video. I'm so tired, I can't remember what I've said so far. But I think the team absolutely tried. I think there was effort. I think there was endeavour. But running out of ideas. Now, I tried to explain and get into the mind of Arteta, but the few things that really don't make any sense to me are Waneri only getting 10 minutes, Erdogan only getting 5, the injury time. I mean, it's quite literally injury time. Like, let's bring on our injured player. You know, is he fit or not? If he's fit and you brought him, he needed 20 minutes. Waneri needed 30. I didn't understand. Timber actually had some decent moments in that second half trying to get us forward. I really don't understand why this wasn't a game from Zinchenko. They were quite literally playing with no wingers. Wing backs really pushed back because of Martinelli and Saka's positioning. It was made for Zinchenko to try and give us something central. And he waited so long to make that change. I did not understand it for 1 second. Even if you keep Timber on, by the way, move him to right back, because I don't think White was doing too much. He didn't do badly, but wasn't really so in the game. The stand-up performers for me, were Gabriel and Partey. I thought Partey was phenomenal on the ball. And to be fair, did some good work off it. But Gabriel, some big blocks. I mean, what I haven't really done this match report is talk about the fact that Inter should have been 3-0 up in the first 10 minutes. Or at least it felt like we were really under the cosh. But Arsenal actually really grew out of that. And let me say, I was at the San Siro. Oh, it was a piercing atmosphere. The San Siro and Inter Milan aren't talked about as like the great atmospheres. You go to Dortmund, you go to Anfield. Now, listen, I can't off one game comment on whether the San Siro compares, but that was as loud and as intimidating an atmosphere as I've seen or heard in the sort of few away trips I've done. And I have done the Etihad and a few very, very good ones, but the San Siro, it needed some quietening, and the Arsenal fans gave as good as they got up in the heavens, but the Arsenal players got on the ball and played, but they just never had enough invention. We didn't play forward enough. Trossard, there were so many times where Saka drifted wide and they came across with him, and Trossard was hanging in the 10 space, and there was a space to attack because Saka had moved, and he didn't. He made no third man runs. We barely had that. Where we did have runners off the balls when Havertz was up front. I actually thought Havertz had quite a good game, I must say. I thought he was a real nuisance for the defenders in the first half. It was good to see that Arteta had tweaked in a way to get Havertz up front a little bit more. But at the same time, he then reverted him into midfield in the absence of Marino coming off, which he claims was because of the hit in the head. And you just think, well, why on earth did you not get Waneri on then? Or even Zinchenko in central midfield. You had to get technical quality because they were all massive at the back, and hoping that crosses, basically, right, while we had chances, our best chances came from Saliba, who should have connected better with the header. There's another moment, I think maybe in the first half, Havertz, a cross into the box from Martinelli or Jesus, can't remember, kind of deflected, fell to Havertz, maybe he could have done better. Saka with a chance shot in the first half. Basically it came from hoping that something in the penalty area would open up for us. We never created that incisive moment. We never just showed true on the ball on the floor quality and made Inter go, oh my word, we cannot keep up with their technical quality here. And this team has technical quality, but he's leaving a lot of it on the bench, and he's reluctant to play in a way that is going to get the best out of what is on the pitch at times. And yeah, I think I've summed up all my thoughts there. I'll tell you one thing I will say, to end on a bit of a positive. We were with a lot of Inter fans today, my cousins, and then I was in the car going back with some Inter fans as well. And they said that was like another level of intensity, that game. Now listen, maybe a Champions League affair, that's one thing, but they're just saying week in, week out, you don't get that in Serie A. And at one point, the two in front of the car, Inter fans, sort of one turned to the other and went, we really got away with one today. And that was interesting to me, because I felt that if Arsenal had played that game and had that performance, I'd be saying, well done. You got the goal in the first half, probably deserved it off the opportunities you had, and then defended valiantly. But, while I think I said there was things about the Arsenal performance that were better today, for sure, it's interesting from the Inter fans' perspective, and that's only a couple. I just spoken to a few, to be fair. And their kind of feeling was, okay, not that they were lucky, but that Arsenal made them really work for it. And I've seen a few sort of comments and tweets from Ryan fans saying, look, Arsenal were better. And I think we were better, but that doesn't mean that we can just not talk about the lack of different questions that we ask teams, how late Arteta's subs can be, the lack of invention generally in our team, and how we just feel a little too one-dimensional. We have to mention all that whilst also acknowledging that, okay, right, that was, like I said, a step. But we've got some big strides still to do. I feel like we can beat Chelsea. I feel like the team showed more today, and I don't think Chelsea are what Newcastle and Inter can be out of possession. But I also think Chelsea can hurt us more than these other two teams can on the ball in terms of the flair, the quality, the combinations. And I don't think our defence is looking quite as robust as I want it to be. Certainly not in the way it was being talked about a month ago, post sort of that City draw and stuff. So those are my thoughts, everyone. Let me know yours. The effort was there. That's kind of how I want to end it. The effort was there. Keep putting in that effort. I believe it will click for the team if the effort is what it was tonight. But the quality has to get there. And that's from confidence. That's from players lifting themselves a little bit and playing with a bit more conviction and actually just finding some form. But also I think comes from Arteta getting the quality on the pitch. At the moment, we feel like we're sprinkling quality in the side, just enough, but not enough to, but not too much so that we compromise the platform that we want to have in games, the defensive stability and shape that we want to have. And it just feels all a little too safe. But I think we can grow out of it. Let's hope we do. One game for the international break. And I know things have been poor, but a win would just make me feel so much better because we need it. And then you spend 2 weeks thinking about what's to come. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll catch you in a bit.